All right, welcome into Market Day Report. I'm Scott Shellady, otherwise known as the Cow Guy. Thank you very much for tuning us in. Remember, today we close early, so the Cow Guy close is going to be on at noon Central Time, not 1. So noon Central Time, 1 Eastern today. The Cow Guy close, we close early, so you get me a little earlier today. That's all good. Let's take a look and see what we've got going on in our markets. We'll start with corn. We'll bring up a corn board, and we'll show you that we were 3 to 4 cents better the last time, and we're kind of still in that range. March is up 3 3/4 cents to 4.31 3/4, a penny off the high of the day. And that's about where we've been. 3 cents better in the May, right behind it to 4.38 1/4, about a penny off the high there as well. Let's move on to the soybeans and see what they've got in store for us. A little bit lower across the board, even though we had some decent export sales. A penny lower in Jan to 9.87 3/4. March is up 2 3/4 cents to 9.94. Well, 9.84 even, now 3 cents lower. And then as you go out the deferreds, we actually lose a nickel in August. That's down to 10.17 1/4. Let's move out to the Chicago wheat, see what that's got for us. A little bit of a mixed board, kinda-ish, really. We're 1 tick better in the March, 5.48 3/4 is last there, quiet board. We're down 1/4 cent in the May, 5.58 last there, and we're down a penny in the July to 5.64 3/4. All right, that's Chicago wheat. Let's move on to the Kansas City hard red wheat. That's down 2 cents, 5.42 1/2 is last there, a penny off the lows of the day. You know, we're trying to make a run, but these were a little bit better the last time we checked in, but they've kind of rolled over here on us. We're 2 cents lower in the May. 5.50 is last, and that's 1 3/4 cents off the low of the day there. That's hard red in Kansas City. Let's see what the spring wheat, what's going on there. Well, mixed. We got the fronts are down a little bit, the backs are higher. March is off a 1/2 cent, 2 ticks to 5.90 3/4. May's on a penny, 5.98 1/2, or 2.5 cents better in both July and Sep. July stands at 6.10 1/4. Sep, that's 6.19 1/2. There you go. Let's get to the cotton. We'll get to our guest analyst, cotton. That's up 32 points in March. 72.07 is last there, 8 points off the high of the day. And that brings me to our next guest analyst, Joe Lardy. He's with CHS up in Inver Grove Heights. Happy day after Thanksgiving there, Joe. What do you think about these markets? Not a lot going on.
No, not a lot. I think, well, normally on Fridays we don't get to talk about export sales, but due to the holiday, we can at least have a little something to chew on there. And, you know, the export sales numbers today were kind of showed some streaks. Corn and wheat both posted 9-week lows. Not good. Soybeans posted a marketing year high. And it's kind of funny looking at the board because the board's not reacting to that. But to me, the outstanding number was soybean oil. We haven't seen a number that big since 2010.
Oh.
So that was I looked at the number and I went, wait a minute, is that for real? Holy cow!
You weren't even in the business back then. I mean, come on.
Well, I was. As these gray hairs will attest to, yes, I've been around that long. But yeah, that was truly an outstanding number. And India was the leading buyer, and they went from like the 6th biggest purchaser all the way up to the number 1 with today's activity. So that was certainly a refreshing change. We could certainly use a lot more good numbers instead of marketing your low type of numbers. So
yeah, I thought like on a day like today when things were thin, it was the market was ripe for taking advantage of news like that, right?
Yeah.
But it didn't really. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not. I've been doing it long enough to know that export sales, the people that know the export sales
don't move the market.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, you know what I would say? Export sales. If the market's trending lower and you have bad export sales, it can push a market trending lower, or the same going higher. But it really doesn't stop a market that's going lower from going lower. You know what I'm saying? Because when the people in the know already know what export sales are, and they've traded them already.
Yep. It's kind of the old news thing, but it's one of those things where like you said, if we see that trend of excellent export sales for multiple weeks in a row, that can put a little bit of a headwind into a trending market.
Right. And so it's a little bit of a trickier one because people like today could have seen fantastic export sales for beans and gone in and buying with both hands. And it turns out that you just made yourself a bad weekend over Thanksgiving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's holiday trade. Trade accordingly.
Exactly right. If you have them, if they're profitable, hedge them, but don't be in the market screwing around because it's a bad time to do that. All right.
Yep.
Thanks for coming on. I'm glad you had a great Thanksgiving. Have a great weekend too. Joe Lardy is coming to us from CHS up in Inver Grove Heights. We're going to go away. We're going to pay some bills, and I'm going to come back and talk more livestock right after this.